Hello, everyone. For a second, I thought we were Wednesday. I was going to say happy Wednesday. I guess I'm kind of ahead of the game. This fine Tuesday evening. We are 10 days into the new year. I'm just checking in on you to see how things are going. I see there's a little bit of a glare. How things are going with, what you've decided you want to accomplish this next year, what your word is for the year, if you're focusing on that word. Don't you love this funky hair? I've been practicing my inversions. Things are great. And I thought I would do a really quick video. So I know it's like primetime live prep for supper, and things just been mingling in my head for a bit, and I figured I would jump on and we would talk about why diets just don't work. Okay, so I know I talk a lot about things like this, but I knew there are some new ladies on this page. Hello, welcome to the tribe. You girls are fabulous. So yeah, diets are just complete BS in my opinion, and I'm gonna tell you why. I've had lots of experience, as many of you have, with dieting, and I just call BS on the whole notion. So we're 10 days in to this new chapter, and I have a few ladies who have reached out and shared with me, what their word for the year is, and some of them shared goals with me, which is fabulous. And I know that a common theme is weight loss. So I just figured, let's just talk about this, why diets don't work. So diets honestly are just a means to an end, meaning it's not sustainable. So meal plans especially. It's a means to an end to get you to where you want to go until it doesn't work anymore. So your body is smarter than you and it will fight you back. I could speak because I've had metabolic adaptation. So that's just where you've pushed your body to the complete end that it can take before it turns around and it decides to kick your butt. We always think we're smarter than our bodies, but actually hormones and everything overrides. So you can never outsmart your body. So dieting is really just a means to an end. Do I think you could readjust things and tweak things to get results you want? Of course. But being knowledgeable and doing your own research, and if you have somebody who's guiding you, somebody you trust, who knows their stuff. I'm going to share something with you, ladies. When I first started online coaching, I prescribed meal plans. Yeah, and I friggin' hated it. Because I myself was struggling on a meal plan and I didn't believe in the meal plan, but I figured that was the only way to help clients. So I did it. I did it for a little bit, and I hated it because every time I would, release the new meal plan, I would be like, oh my goodness, how am I knowing what she wants to eat, right? So life happens, sometimes stress happens, sometimes PMS happens, and I don't know if you're fed up of chicken, right? So yeah, I would prescribe meal plans, and I hated it. And I did it for a while, at least a good 6 months, maybe a little bit more, probably closer to a year. And till I eventually was like, I'm done, because I myself was struggling with following a meal plan. My body was fed up of it. My mind was fed up of it, that I just figured like there's a whole other way. So then that's where I fell into flexible dieting, flexible nutrition. And I've actually now shifted to more like just wholesome eating. So I no longer track things like this. But I mean, I had to do that shift. So basically, I thought I would jump on today just to talk about why diets don't work. So one, they're not maintainable. So a big thing that I like to ask girls who tell me about what they're eating is, can you see yourself eating like this in a month from now? Can you see yourself eating like this in 6 months from now? What about in a year from now? What about in 6 years from now? If the answer is no, then why are you doing it, right? So a lot of times we're stuck on that number and on that, the number on the scale, the number on our pant size, whatever. we're just so focused. Some girls are focused on body percentage, fat percentages. Those are just numbers. They reflect nothing, okay? I'm not saying if you're extremely overweight that's not healthy. Of course it's not, but ultimate health is more than just the outer shell, okay? So ultimate health has to do with your mindset, your heart, like everything. It's more than just the food you eat and the exercise you do or you don't do. So it's just a means to an end. It's not sustainable. So if you're eating something or depriving yourself of something, are you really going to be able to give it up? Like, especially something you enjoy. Because the truth of the matter is, rejection creates obsession. So that's applicable to anything. It's just a law. Rejection creates obsession. Tell yourself you can't go do something that you enjoy doing and watch yourself just crave it, fantasize about it, want it, want it, want it. Like, it's just the way things are. We want what we can't have, right? So that's rule number 2. So I find that diets are really just a quick fix. It's what it is. It's a quick and dirty fix. Do I think that some meal plans can help you learn how to eat whole food? Perhaps. But let's just break it down. Whole foods are our vegetables, our fruits. Get your proteins in, get your fats in. Those are whole foods. If you go grocery shopping, you would shop along the perimeter of the grocery store. You wouldn't really need to go into the aisles. When I go into the aisles, it's to grab quick things, man-made things, oatmeal, things like that, right? Cookies. Those things we know, in moderation. I'm not saying they're bad, but we know that they're not the most nutritionally optimal for our bodies. So it's not that you need a meal plan to tell you what to eat. And if you did, I would even just tell you to look at the food guide, right? So look at the food guide and see how your body reacts to what you need to eat. Everybody's body is different, but for the most part, we know what we need to be eating, right? And we know that we need to be moving, and we know that we should consume water. I mean, we should be drinking way more water than anything else. So those are little things that I would look at. So yeah, so then I started thinking, like, back in the day when I was struggling with like food, and I was obsessed with food, and I didn't know what I should eat, what I shouldn't eat, because back then I had the moral labels, which I know are still really common in our language. That would be one thing that I would ask you to focus on this year. Really pay attention to how your relationship with food is, and pay attention to those closest to you and see how their relationship with food is, right? It's just so common practice for people to just say it out loud. I was bad today because I ate whatever, or I was so good because I resisted whatever. I mean, it's in our language. So we really need to focus on switching that, right? And then doing little tweaks. So little tweaks, like, I have my what has helped me stay sane is I have little tools that I use every day. Little tools that I use to keep me, feeling my best. And I'm not saying I have crap days where, it doesn't exist. Of course, I'm human. Sometimes I have a really crappy day, and like Monday I come home and I just want a glass of wine, but it's to use these tools. So I'll share them with you right now. So number 1 is, anytime I'm eating something, I really make sure that I'm hungry. I find we are so scheduled with our life, and we're not always paying attention either, because we're so quick, instant gratification, that we're not focusing on what we're actually doing. We're multitasking. I would ask you right now, if you eat, anytime you eat, turn off all distractions. So I know right now it's supper time, and if you're eating, wait till after. Turn this off after you've done eating. But turn off the distractions, and then ask yourself, am I really hungry or am I thirsty? Because oftentimes we are thirsty. We just don't listen to the cues. So then your body is going to say, okay, no, you're hungry because I'm actually really thirsty. So give me something to nourish me. So that's what I would do. What I do is, when I eat, I try to get rid of all distractions. so I can really focus on what I'm about to do. And anybody who knows me, when I am eating, oftentimes I have no idea what you're telling me because I'm enjoying my meal. So never tell me something super important or share all your dirty secrets and I will forget. But really focus on what you're consuming and ask yourself, am I really hungry? And then pay attention to your body cues because your body will tell you when you're full. So tip number 2 would be to eat to about 80% full. 80% full is when you feel like you can have another plate. You're like, oh, I think I'm still hungry. But it takes like 20 minutes for your gut brain to get to your mind brain to tell you that you're full. So if you think that you could have another serving, I would say wait. Instead, have water, get up, start cleaning off the table. Know that the food is still there, and if you are hungry in about 15-ish minutes, 15 to 20, then go have another serving, right? Or another bite or two. I find we overfill our plates and then we feel the need to finish them. So that's another point. Getting rid of that guilt if you don't finish your plate. A lot of us were raised with that. There's little kids in Africa starving. You know what? You finishing your plate is not going to help them anymore. Like, give of your money, give to a charity, things like this, but do not guilt yourself into finishing your food. Yes, food is expensive. There's little Tupperwares. You can keep your leftovers for tomorrow. Like, you don't have to finish it tonight. So that's something else that I use is if I'm not hungry anymore, I'm 80% full, I'm not hungry anymore. I will put it away. If I'm hungry later on, I can go back and eat it, right? So I've removed the labels, I've removed the guilt, that's gone, I've removed the distractions. Then I focus on the satisfaction of my meal. So I used to deprive myself of tons of things just because I followed a meal plan. I look for the satisfaction of the meal. So if I'm eating something and I'm not completely enjoying it to 100%, then I don't have to finish it, or I add to it. So I have non-negotiables to help with this satisfaction factor. And a satisfaction factor, I always put it on a scale of 10. So if it's a 6, I want it to be as close to a 10 as possible to enjoy my meal. So my non-negotiables within the satisfaction factor are, I like half and half cream in my coffee, and I drink that every morning. I have 2 coffees every morning, guilt-free. There was a time when I couldn't drink coffee, creamer, because it was bad. Like, it's a fat. Fat is good for your body. Okay, moderation and moderation. We're going to start removing a lot of these negative labels. Next, I have these commitments that I give myself, so healthy habits that I focus on every day. One of them is to eat a big-ass salad. So I make sure I have a huge salad, and then I will add that into that salad. I'll make sure I have my protein. And then to add the satisfaction to it, I want cheese or something. Like, I want something that tastes good. Okay, and I don't drown my salads. Anybody who's seen me eat a salad, I do not drown my salad with my dressing because that's just, you could put a little bit, or I like to just dip my fork in the salad dressing and then eat my salad like that. Or you put a little bit. You don't have, like, especially those mixes. I love those mixes because I like quick and easy things too. But I won't pour the whole little packet of dressing. I'll put like not even half. Mix it all in, and it's nice to taste the food. I find our palates are so used to being camouflaged, right? But when you can taste what the real food tastes like, it's a whole other experience. So really start getting used to those natural flavors, things like that. So yeah, I have my non-negotiables. I choose what I want to eat guilt-free. And this is what I hope for you. Like, I really hope that you girls start practicing these skills. I know some of you have tried it and you went through anti-diet boot camp and you gave me some feedback, or you've read some of my blogs. I have the binge proof blueprint out there. So for girls, I've used to fall in that cycle. I used to binge so bad, but the minute I allowed myself to enjoy things, the binging went away. The cravings went away. Oh my God, are you serious? Like magic. Why? Because I give my body what I want, right? Moderation in moderation, of course. I'm not the type of girl who's going to have a glass of wine every day, okay, for obvious reasons. But I also don't deprive myself, right? So if you want that piece of cake, you can have some. You might not have to eat the whole thing. You can do the 2-bite rule. Like, I like to do the 2-bite rule. That's another little tool that I use. So anything that I'm eating and I'm not completely sure on the satisfaction, like if I'm feeling the satisfaction factor, if it's high enough for me, I will take a second bite to determine. Now, after that second bite, that's where I decide, am I going to have more? Am I going to finish what I have? Or am I going to just have something else, right? There was a time where I would just go crazy because I didn't know when the next time I would get to eat something like that, right? So you fall in those FOMOs, fears of missing out. You fall victim to, like, you know, all those food phobias, food obsessions, food rules. I suffered from a lot of those. Why? Because I've dieted more than half of my life, you know, since I was young, right? And this is the common culture. Since I was young, I thought there was something wrong with my body. Now I realize I'm not alone in this, right? I talk to teen girls and it's all the same pattern. It's all the same language. It's all the same insecurities. We are all facing the same struggles. We just don't talk openly about them. So we need to talk about this, right? That's why I write about that. That's why I share as many tips as I can, because these things worked for me and they might work for you. And you know what? You probably have awesome tips and tools to share with others. Like, go for it. Share it on the page. Inbox me. Like, share your strategies, because there's so many different ways of doing different things, right? So yeah, and then lastly, what I'll finish with, ladies, is if you're starting a new lifestyle, one big thing that I like to tell all my clients is one small step at a time. So if you're new to exercising and you're new to eating healthier, I'm not saying clean eating because I don't believe in that, but eating healthier, having healthier choices, one small thing at a time. So do not go all in, okay? It's not the all or nothing. It's got to be one small thing at a time. So if you're new to exercising and that's something that you want to get better at, I would focus on that. If you're new to eating healthier options, then I would stick with that. It's not all or nothing, right? So get your feet wet in one thing before you start jumping into something else. Because what happens so often, and it's so common, and another thing that people don't talk about, is they feel like a failure because it gets to be too much, too soon, too stressful. So we say F it and drop it all, right? So it's got to be slow and steady. This is not a sprint, it's a marathon, right? So if you're learning new things, allow yourself the grace period to practice patience and get feedback and all that jazz, right? So if you're new to this whole new fitness lifestyle or whatever it is that you're embarking on, one small thing at a time. And that's applicable to anything that you want to focus on in life. One small thing at a time. And lastly, ladies, what I would say is if you're practicing, like, I don't know, working out and you miss a workout, or you know, maybe had too much at your meal, the number one thing that you need to do immediately is forgive yourself. Pat yourself on the back, because you know what, you're human. Practice grace and move on. Okay, a lot of us, we feel like we fell off a wagon, or we feel like we're a failure. And you know what? That couldn't be further from the truth. And actually, if you want to say it's failure, to me, failure is information. So for you could take that as information and go investigating to see why that happened. You know, if you missed a workout, maybe you were tired today. Maybe you had a stressful day. Maybe you didn't sleep good last night. Maybe your body's telling you something. Use that as information to investigate further, right? If you, I don't know, messed up on a meal, which honestly, okay, use that as information. Have you been restricting and depriving yourself? Have you been labeling food as good and bad? Are you being just too hard on yourself? Often, especially as women, we are our worst critics and we are the hardest on ourselves. You need to practice grace. You need to look at yourself as if you would your best friend who just came to you and told you this god-awful story, and you would be kind to her. You would give her good information. So you would tell her, okay, move on. Practice grace. Practice patience. Okay? Thanks, Mireille. And what I like to do, ladies, I have 3 things that I do every day, okay? 3 things. One of them, of course, is to eat a big ass salad. Number 2 is to move my body some way. So it could be a 5-minute stretch, it could be foam rolling, it could be a workout, it could be a walk, it could be just move my body in some way. It could be dancing. Like, it doesn't have to be a formal workout. But I just figure I have this body, I can move this body, I'm going to enjoy this body. Because if you don't use it, you lose it, right? So just, and be humble as a new beginner at anything, right? So you're not gonna be, I've been practicing inversions and parallel training and things like this. I'm a sucky beginner, but I'm okay with it because I'm gonna be humble, I'm gonna work hard, and I know I can do this. So you have to practice patience with that. Aggressively, but be patient. And number 3 that I do every day is I read. Because it's more than just our food, it's more than just our body, it's a lot about the mind. So I read, and I'm not talking about gossip magazines and tabloids and things like that. If you read that trash, please do a favor, go give it to somebody so they can burn it. You need to focus on positive things. So you will not benefit at all from reading tabloids and things like that that could dish any friggin' amazing celebrity. And I'm like, if we talk about Angelina Jolie, I think I've done this before. Angelina Jolie is a beautiful woman, and I'm not just talking about outer shell. I'm talking about the amazing, beautiful things she does around the world for third world countries. Okay, she's beautiful. Now, if a tabloid can take her and rip her to shreds, no wonder you feel like you're not enough. Okay, so when you read something, really pay attention to what you're putting into your mind, because you are allowing your higher self to judge yourself, if that makes any sense, without sounding too woo-woo. So basically, that's just it. All this to talk about why diets don't work. Allow yourself little non-negotiables, you know, my cream, I like a piece of dark chocolate, glass of wine from time to time. Those are mine. Figure out what works for you. Share with me what your non-negotiables are. And reach out. Share any kind of tips, tricks. I love all that stuff. Besides that, you have yourselves a fabulous evening. For ladies who didn't go through Anti-Diet Bootcamp, I will post the link. I will also post links to my blog, because I have a ton of information of things that I've done to myself to practice on myself. Things that have worked for me and have worked for other clients. It's all free stuff. Just read it and then take what you want and make it your own. Okay? So you girls are awesome. Stay awesome. Peace, love. Ciao.